Hi, Brianna. It's Miss Strother, and I am here to welcome you to the screencast of your final exam project essay draft. The first thing I did was I took it and I copied it straight from Google Drive into a Word document so that I could kind of play with it and it wouldn't affect your formatting or any of the changes that you really need to make on your own. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I go through is kind of point out the minor things, the formatting, the MLA formatting issues that you can do, that you can fix, you can work on so that you get the most points the easiest. You can see on your rubric that you've got a grammar editing section, which is worth, let's see, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 points. So it's quite a bit out of 70. It starts to make a difference. So what I can tell you is that I see you have a beautiful MLA formatted heading. That is fabulous. The one thing that you can do is, or that you should do, is put right here in the middle. So make sure you find this button at the top of your Google Drive doc and put in some sort of creative title. And I'm going to highlight it so that you know that creative title is not the exact thing you write in there. You always want to indent, so at the beginning of every paragraph you do an indent, and the way you do that is by pushing the tab button, which is on the top left of your keyboard. I can see you are doing the italices, which is great. Make sure you got a space there. Make sure this quotation mark here is facing the right direction. Cool. And that one. Okay. Now, the one thing we need here is I think this is supposed to be your thesis statement right here. Okay. Yeah, it should probably look like that. I think that's what you intended for it to look like. Okay, that's fine. Just make sure that you fix this in your final draft of your essay so that I can see it correctly. Make sure we take out that space. Okay. And remember, thank you, ma'am, is the title story, so that's what needs the quotation marks. Cool. Okay. Looks like you have some beautiful in-text citations there. That's awesome. Doing a little bit of too much of extra spacing. I don't know why you need a space before a comma or here, but that's okay. There's little things you're going to go back and fix so you don't have extra space there. Like I said, little things, but they're going to make a difference so that when someone else sits down to read your writing, they're not going to look at it and say, oh, they don't know how to do this. It really seems like it's not that important, but it is. Okay, again, take that space out. Okay, here you want to make sure you are going ahead and putting that tab button in. And so I see you've got a beautiful works cited page, and what you can do is actually go, there's a button called Insert on Google Drive as well as in Word, and you can push the page break button and it'll put it on its own page, which is what it's supposed to be. Now, what I would also recommend you do is push Control A and change everything so that you have Times New Roman and that you have 12-point font. It's really important. Also that everything is double spaced. So here you don't need that extra space because it should be doubled. So fix this spacing here. Now, there's this funny thing when I had it up there on the board, I was trying to show you how this part should be. I don't know why we do this, but in a works cited list you have the top line starts over all the way on the left, and then the second part of that same line is underneath it. Has to be underneath it. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to go up. I'm going to read. I don't see a conclusion from you on this particular essay, so you want to go ahead and work on that. Uh-oh. Okay, sorry about that. Issue with the computer. So what I'm going to do now is go on up and read your introduction, one body paragraph, and your conclusion. Or at least usually I would read your conclusion, but since you don't have one, I'm just going to grade you on not having a conclusion, and then hope that you can get that in there while you're revising your essay. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about by conclusion, then please come and we can talk about it. It's basically that teal colored paper. I know you did it. We worked on it after school briefly, so I know that you have prepared it. So I just want to see you type it up. Also, just know that when you are creating Google Docs, all you have to do is add on to your Google Doc as you would a document on your computer. You don't have to create a new one. You just add on to what you have. Okay, so here is your introduction. Stories in our culture often include mentors who are really interesting and helpful to the main characters. Cool. Mentors are people who make a difference in someone's life. Yeah, so make sure you're being careful. I think what you want to do, and most people are like this, and most people don't do it, but most people really need to read their essay out loud. And so I think it's important for you to slowly read your essay out loud to yourself. And you and I have done a little bit of that, but it's really important for you to try to do it for yourself before it comes to me. Because you know your class, they're a little crazy, and we don't have time to go through and read it together in the middle of class. Okay, The Ghost of Spirit Bear by Ben Michelson, nice, is a book about a boy who has a mentor trying to help him what? Because I already know that we're talking about mentors. I already know that there are people who are helpful to the main characters. But what? What is he trying to help him with? Your introduction, you're actually introducing what the stories are about. Because in the body paragraphs, you just want to put the quotations and the analysis. Just a tiny, tiny bit of narrative, which just means the story. Really, you want to tell what the story is about in your introduction, because you're introducing your topic and you're introducing the stories. So give me just a little more there. Thank You, Ma'am by Langston Hughes is a story about a boy who tries to take a woman. This is women. He does it for more than one? Tries to take a woman's pocketbook, but she ends up mothering him instead. Sounds familiar. 20 Things Boys Can Do to Become Men by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, is an essay about what boys can do to become mature and turn into men. Or you could say real men, even. That's up to you. The archetype of mentor affects the character's actions in The Ghost of Spirit Bear. So let's take these out. Let's just make it The Ghost of Spirit Bear. 20 Things Boys Can Do to Become Men. And in Thank You, Ma'am. And let's just make it nice and simple, because you've already listed who the authors are, so you don't need to do it again. Okay, first body paragraph. The archetype of mentor affects the character's actions, so make sure you're doing the same here as you do in your thesis statement, that you have your, whatever you call that. Ooh, blinking. Okay. Affects the character's actions in The Ghost of Spirit Bear. How about if we have a period here? Cole got into a fight, no extra space, with a group of bullies, also not a capital, comma, and Cole got in trouble because he hit back. Again, no extra space there. There you go. You're here because of how you reacted to bullies. Here, Cole, oh nice, Cole met his mentors. His mentor or mentors? The man who would affect his actions. Cool. Cole told Garvey that he was throwing rocks to calm his he probably meant to say anger, comma, but Garvey told him that he can do different things, period. So think about when you kind of take a break when you're speaking. When you take a full pause where you stop, that's usually when you have a period. If you take kind of like a half pause, it's like this, and then like this, and then like this. So it's kind of a half pause. That's where commas go. So, and also here where people say things. Garvey said, and you use a comma. But most of the time it's when you have a bit of a pause that you use a comma. So like this. Here, Cole met his mentor, the man who would affect his actions. Okay, so he said to do other things. So you have just a tiny bit of analysis where you're connecting it back to your thesis statement. You're saying that Cole is the one who would affect his actions. That's a good start. That's a very good start. So let's keep going. Cole told Garvey that he was throwing rocks to calm his anger, but Garvey told him that he could do different things. Garvey said, "Look at a leaf." A period or a comma, You'll have to go check on page 53 to figure out what actually goes here. Look at a leaf, glance up at the stars, or just close your eyes and breathe deeply, probably with an E here. Cole met the character's actions. Cole is the character whose actions are affected, right? So maybe what you want to say, Cole's actions were affected because his mentor is telling him to just breathe and calm his anger. Cole asked Hart Garvey if he ever got in trouble. Okay, let's take that out. That's double, the second one. When he was younger, comma, and he told Cole he has gotten in trouble. But if you are, how about this? If you are where you are supposed to be, you won't get in trouble. Okay. Now know that this kind of stuff, this is called a contraction, and that's in your rubric. So what you need to change it to is to you will not, as in like you will not get in trouble. I also discovered that if you're where you should be in your heart and spirit, no extra space, you don't make those mistakes. So here is also a contraction, but it's allowed because it's in the quotation. Take out the space. Cole met? What do you mean by met? Because what you said in your topic sentence here is that the mentor affects the character's actions. So tell me about that. How are Cole's actions affected, or how does the mentor affect him? So when you think in your heart and with kindness, you don't make mistakes. What kind of mistakes is he talking about? Because he says those mistakes, he's very specific, those mistakes. So be specific also when you are speaking, but clarify because I haven't read this story yet. So think about that. Gary affects Cole's actions by changing him into a better person and telling him that he has to think before he, how about if we say acts, before he acts. Okay, you are doing very well. You've got quotations, you've got 3 in your body paragraph here. I know you don't quite have that in all of the body paragraphs, especially because you want to put these sentences all together into one paragraph. I know you're still working on it. But this one's beautiful. You've got analysis. You could always do more analysis, maybe about 1 more sentence per quotation. But that's also up to you. You are still, you're in a standard English 9 class. You turned it in before everyone else did, so I feel that you should have more time to really build up your writing. But you were writing very, very well, and I think you should be proud of yourself. And I can't wait to tell Miss Myrie Snell about how amazing your writing is. Anyway, if you have any questions, or if there's something you want specific support on writing, for example, your conclusion, please let me know. But I really look forward to reading your revisions.